GP thinks his routes are too short, and multiple people within the industry respond to Big Ben's comments on the Steeler way. Big Deke News. I think most of us saw George Pickens' quotes from yesterday's media scrum where he said, "I can't really produce when you are running 5-yard routes and 3-yard routes." And at first glance, I feel like we're all thinking the same thing. Oh no, here we go again. More unnecessary Pickens drama. This is the last thing we need right now as a team. Even though his sentiments may be correct in a way, this isn't exactly how you go about it. Just like we see him on the field on Sundays. Whenever he's got the poor body language, it's like, yeah, you should be getting the ball more. I think we all agree. We got to get George Pickens the ball. But at the same time, we got to handle it like a professional. The thing is, though, there is actually more to what Pickens had to say yesterday. And I would argue it's more positive than what this little snippet is that people pulled out for social media. So let me read kind of the full context or the full quotes from what Pickens had to say, and then you guys can get a full assessment, a full gauge on it. He goes, "I'm just running routes to get open. I don't really worry about personnel or who's at quarterback or the situation. I'm still doing what George does." So he went full third person there. "Get open and catch the ball and score. That's all I want to do." And then the writer of the article, Brian Badco, says, "To be fair, Pickens led off his interview by insisting all he wants to do is win, and that losing's not fun. He was adamant that any bad body language from him throughout a game is related to lack of team success rather than individual production." Pickens goes on to say, "Me personally, I just look at the game like any other guy would do. After the game, watching film, I see what plays I could have gotten the ball on, see if people had pressure, things like that. But me personally, I can only try to get open. Whatever you guys see or whatever you guys watch on TV, I'm watching it too." And now to the quote that you've seen on social media. It says, "I don't know," Pickens said of those targets near the line of scrimmage, hinting at a game plan that doesn't mirror what he works on throughout the week. You guys be at practice, right? I would just say I hope to see things like that when it's routes like that. I mean, I can't really produce that way, running 5-yard routes and 3-yard routes." So there you have it. If you look at the totality of GP's answers here, really not bad. If anything, it, again, leans more positive because he made it adamant that his body language, his negative energy on the field is more directed about the team success as opposed to what he's doing as an individual. So you'd like to see that. He's more about the team than what he's doing personally. But yeah, I guess the whole 3-5-yard route thing, you don't have to mention that. But you could also see there was a full quote included there where he was talking about, yeah, we're doing some more deeper routes in practice. I just want that to translate more to being on the field. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. I feel like there are times whenever we do try to pass him the ball on these short routes just to get him more involved. If we haven't seen a pass to Pickens in about 2 or 3 series, it's like, all right, let's just get you a screen. Let's get you a quick slant. Let's figure something out. Way to get you the ball. But I also feel like this wouldn't be a conversation if Kenny Pickett was the quarterback because the Pickett to Pickens connection is real. Despite everyone thinking Kenny Pickett's terrible and Kenny Pickett doesn't know how to get George Pickens the ball, there's many times when Pickens is covered, Pickett will toss it up to him. And as you guys saw in the first game after we got rid of Canada in the Bengals game, Pickett was tossing the ball down the field. And then you saw in the first series in the Cardinals game, we featured George Pickens. That was, what, a 30, 35-yard pass. So I think part of the struggles recently, at least in last week's New England Patriots game, was due to Mitch being at quarterback. Now, can things change? Another week under Mitch's belt, knowing that he's going to be the starter going into this Colts week? Hopefully, but I don't think this is that big of a deal. Now, I have said that a lot in the past this year with some of Pickens' stuff going on, but when you do the comparison, some of these quotes versus some of his social media stuff, I'll take these quotes all day. I don't think there's really much to worry about. If anything, I do appreciate him clearing up that some of his stuff on the sidelines is just straight up due to the team success. That's all he's focused on. So there's that. Now let's go back to the Big Ben comments on the Steeler way and him questioning whether or not the Steeler traditions of old have fallen by the wayside. If you guys forgot what he said, here you go.
What's our issue? And I don't know the issue, but it feels like it's a bigger thing than just one specific thing. I don't know that I can point to one thing and be like, here it is. Because if you could say, here it is, then you could fix this thing. But it's just a bad. They're in a bad place right now. And then you got guys, your leaders like Minka, after the game talking about, hey, can't just show up. Well, it seems like something that I said and got, one of the leaders on the team kind of got on me for saying that I felt that certain guys on the team aren't in it for the team, they're in it for themselves. Well, now some of the guys on the team are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So maybe I wasn't too far off when I said that. But
like a little football
I know
prophet.
that I'm retired. I just don't, I'm not in the locker room. I get it. But it just feels like that. It just feels like that's something that's kind of been lost on this team a little bit. It feels like the Steeler way is just not. Listen, you've got some great leaders on defense. Don't get me wrong.
But
Cam and TJ and Minka, but you've got two sides of a football.
That's what I'm saying. It's just
a team.
who is that guy? Who is that guy? If it's not the quarterback, because obviously that is just it's a variable right now.
Yeah.
Who's that guy?
You don't have it on offense. I mean, you can bring a veteran football player in. Okay, Mason Cole, Isaac. I mean, you could bring guys in that are veterans, but they're not. Just because they're a veteran football player doesn't mean that they're a Steeler. Like, they know what it is to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
And ever since the GOAT said those things, there have been reactions from a few people within the industry. One being Stephen A. Smith on ESPN, and two are current Steeler players, and Cam Hayward and Najee Harris. So what I'm going to do is play their reactions back to back to back, and then I will react to all three afterwards.
You're there. You stayed too long. Last 3 years in the league, Ben Roethlisberger should have been gone. You were a statue. I don't care what anybody said. Now, obviously, we see, even as a statue, he's better than what the Steelers have had to offer since then. And I understand that it's not his responsibility to go out there and evaluate players and pick the guys, and draft them. That was Kevin. That was Colbert at one time, and now you've got Tomlin in the crew. I'm just saying, if you're Big Ben Roethlisberger, I thought you stayed a couple of years too long, and I thought you sort of curtailed or stymied the transition.
When did he say that?
He said it on a podcast.
Oh, I thought he said like with us.
No, he didn't talk to us.
Okay.
He just said it on his podcast.
I mean, Ben could have his opinion about something. I'm not trying to sit here and say he's right or wrong. I don't know how to answer that. Ben is a Hall of Famer. Ben obviously been here, won the Super Bowl. He knows what the standard is. Ben is somebody who's credible. I got here his last year, so I can't really say like I know what the Steeler way is because he been here with Troy, he been here with Rome. He knows that really. So if somebody outside sees that, and he been in this building, then I mean he kind of could guess and say like maybe he's right, but I don't.
Ben has an opinion. He's entitled to that, but I don't agree. These last two games been rough, but the Steelers' way is about grinding it out, and it doesn't matter what's going on. So there's plenty to be done about it, and tradition starts by winning games, having good defense, and scoring points. So hopefully we can adjust that this week.
So this Stephen A. take is probably the worst take I've heard in a while. And I've heard some pretty bad takes recently. So congratulations, Stephen A., for that. He's saying that Ben stayed too long and was holding the organization back. No, he actually needed to stay longer and was carrying the organization his last few years. Let's look at the last three. In 2018, led the league in passing yards and had over 30 touchdowns. I think he had like 34, 35 touchdowns. And then his second to last season threw for 33 touchdowns and 10 picks. 33 touchdowns and 10 picks. And people were trying to say Ben shouldn't be back for last year. Do you guys remember that? 33 touchdowns, 10 picks. And we got that team off to an 11-0 start, ended up winning the division. Yes, we did have an unfortunate loss in the wild card playoffs, but man, 33 touchdowns, 10 picks for a guy that everyone was saying was washed. Doesn't really add up to me. And then in his last season, 2021, despite having Matt Canada as his offensive coordinator, the worst offensive line in the league, Kendrick Green starting at center, Chase Claypool as one of his top receivers, and also having the worst rush defense behind him. Don't you guys remember? Steelers were 32nd ranked in the league in rush defense. Everyone wanted to blame all the Steelers' problems that year on Ben. But despite all of that, was able to carry that broken team into the playoffs and lead the league in game-winning drives. Hashtag the sabotage. If you know, you know. I think Stephen A. needs to read up on some Steelers history there. The sabotage took place in 2021. So definitely a false statement by saying Ben stayed too long and was holding the organization back. No, he was keeping the organization intact. How about you prioritize your Hall of Fame GOAT quarterback over Matt Canada and you surround Ben with a coordinator that's more fit for Ben's style at that point? How about you build up a better offensive line? Get some better players on defense? I think we would have been in a better spot. And we do have better surrounding teams these last 2 seasons. So if the Steelers fans and the organization didn't run Ben out of town, who knows where we could be right now. But I digress. Now let's get to Cam Hayward and Najee Harris's response. Najee, he's just sick of the media at this point. I don't really think he cares. And then Cam Hayward, yeah, I think he gave a good Cam Hayward response. That's how you do it. Say, like, you know, I respect Ben. He's got his opinion. But, yeah, the Steeler way is gritting it out, grinding it out, and we have that opportunity in front of us going forward. And I agree with that, too. I agree. Like, couple things can be true here. The Steelers have lost their way. Things have been off. These back-to-back losses to 2-win teams, terrible. But we also have every opportunity these next 4 games to make things right. And I think we will, starting this Saturday against the Colts. But let me know what you guys think. That's it for today's version of Big Deke News. Hope you guys enjoyed, and stay chillin'. Peace.